My name is Vandana Mathur, and I'm from New Jersey Department of Transportation. I'm supervisor for Mobility Planning and Research Unit within Operations. I oversee our ITS Resource Center, Transcom, ATMS, as well as the purchase of various data sets we buy from University of Maryland through Eastern Transportation Coalition. As we all know, the future of transportation systems management and operations, TISMO, depends on a strong, skilled workforce that is prepared to meet evolving industry challenges. That's why I'm excited to introduce the Committee on Transportation System Operations, 3E, or EEE Task Force, focused on supporting state departments of transportation in building a future-ready TISMO workforce. The mission and purpose of the 3E Task Force is driven by three key pillars: educate, engage, and empower, all aimed at developing the next generation of TISMO professionals. Our focus is on identifying critical workforce gaps, offering professional development opportunities, and creating a space to elevate professionals in transportation industry. This webinar is the brainchild of EEE, and we are excited to collaborate with our partners to highlight workforce development efforts and research. We invite all of you to build momentum following this webinar and participate in EEE, contribute ideas, share insights, and participate in programs that will help shape the future of the TISMO workforce. Together, we can educate, engage, and empower the professionals who will drive our transportation systems. Thank you.
I'm Nick Granfos. I'm the director of the National Operations Center of Excellence. There are three pillars of TISMO, and that includes the AASHTO Transportation Operations Manual, or the TOM, which some of you may be familiar with, NOCO, as well as our Regional Operations Leadership Forum. Those have been put together very meticulously through CTSO, and it's a way to help mainstream TISMO at state DOT agencies. In terms of NOCO, we were established to provide TISMO services to the community, and that includes resources. We have knowledge transfer, as well as promoting the networking of TISMO professionals, and then we're also working to communicate advancements from TISMO. So we can go to the next slide. And so we have a whole array of services through NOCO that are available on our website. NOCO is also guided by its partners, and that includes support from the Federal Highway Administration through a cooperative agreement. We also have signed MOUs with ITE and ITS America, and that's been the way we've been operating for the last 10 years. And this year is our 10th anniversary. So we're very fortunate to have this partner association, and really are, I think, in a good spot when it comes to working with all of our partners in making sure that the TISMO message is out in the community. We can go to the next slide. So the portal that we developed back in 2019 was based on an NCHRP project on TISMO workforce development. And through the years, the portal has been expanded with findings from a workforce summit that was held in 2021. We also had a workforce peer exchange held in 2022, as well as a number of NOCO case studies that are available, as well as white papers that focus on recruitment, strengthening pipelines, as well as retainment strategies. So I'm going to highlight a few of those resources in the next few minutes here. So when we look at position descriptions, which we have about 19 of those, they've assisted a number of agencies in recruitment, as well as the ability to hire for TISMO positions. They're a starting point for TISMO agencies to work with their HR departments, as well as the rest of the DOT agency in defining the needed roles to support TISMO. So as you can see in this particular example, each one of these positions contains detailed information on the position, as well as the knowledge, skills, and abilities that would be needed for that position. Okay. The recruitment of new people is the #1 workforce challenge that we are constantly hearing about. So here you can see that we have specific guidance on how to recruit from various pipelines, including, in this particular example, I'm focusing in on the military. So this white paper can help recruiters align skills with TSMO positions and explain how military experience can translate to TSMO skills. We also have resources aimed at developing and retaining employees through training. Go to that next slide. Our workforce training database that's available on our website can help employers and practitioners find TSMO-focused trainings. So those can be either online or in person, or some of them are self-guided and they have instructions. We are currently in the process of updating the content of the database, and we've been working with all of the agencies that have contributed their online courses to the database. And just from a timeline perspective, it looks like we'll probably have this update ready to go probably towards the end of this calendar year. And we've started just a few months ago, and we're about halfway through. Okay, next slide. This is my last slide. I also want to talk about one of our major workforce initiatives, and that's our Transportation Technology Tournament, or as we fondly call it, the TTT. It's held each year at ITE's annual meeting, and it allows students to work with practitioners on rural transportation problems. This year, I'm happy to say that we have a record number of student teams. We have 27 student teams that are currently working on planned special event-related problems. And that can include things like the FIFA World Cup, which is going to be held here in the US in 2026 at 11 different venues. It also could include the LA Olympics or other Olympics that have been held, as well as other events where TSMO solutions have been used to help improve mobility. And lastly, as Adam mentioned, you could sign up for the NOCO newsletter. This is an informative newsletter that goes out probably about twice a month, and it gives you all kinds of different resources, as well as some of the activities that we're promoting, including our webinars, some case studies, best practice reports, and a number of other industry trends that are happening in the TSMO world. And with that, I guess we're going to be taking questions later on. Turn it over to ITS America. Thank you.
I'm Virginia Lamb with WSP. I lead WSP's national ITS practice. And, in the spirit of career growth and a little bit about workforce development, I'll just share a little bit about how I got to where I am today. My career has been split a bit between both public and private sectors, but always working to advance ITS by finding innovative new ways to leverage technologies to improve safety, mobility, and reliability. And ultimately, just to make people's everyday transportation needs of moving people, goods, services, just making that better and making it as efficient as possible. I did my undergrad at Wayne State University in industrial engineering and urban studies. And then I was at UC Berkeley for transportation engineering. And kind of the rest is history. Through my career, I've been very involved with AASHTO when I was in the public sector, and now we've been on the consulting side involved with some of that. TRB has been very important to my career, and just a lot of involvement and leadership opportunities through TRB. Now within ITS America, and I would give a shout out to WTS too for ways to get involved in the community. So with that, I'm here representing ITS America and talking about our workforce development community of practice. But I did want to give an overview if you're not familiar with ITS America and how the standing committees are set up. I did just want to share this slide. So the standing committees are an important part of ITS America's structure. There are committees on automated vehicles, emerging technologies, digital infrastructure, and V2X or connected transportation solutions. And then the real work happens in the working groups, which are underneath each of those committees that the committees roll up to. We also have 2 communities of practice, one on cybersecurity and privacy, and another on workforce development. And that's what I'll be talking about today. Next slide, please. So I'm one of the co-leaders, along with Tiffany Fuller with New York City DOT. She's the strategic planning director, and then also Dara Wheeler, who is the chief of research and innovation. So together we work to really advance this community of practice within ITS America. Next slide. Our 2025 objectives are to collaboratively identify innovative strategies that really do enhance the skills, knowledge, and readiness of the ITS workforce. We're always looking for those cross-cutting issues, cross-cutting needs that really impact transportation technologies. And also, lastly, just looking at how to promote workforce development to really foster the skills and the opportunities to ensure transportation workers can evolve and change and really meet the needs of the future. Our priorities, we have 2 main priorities. One, creating the pathways to help individuals, to help members and individuals within each of the ITS America membership organizations contribute and benefit from ITS and the investments that we're making in ITS. And then lastly, developing a skilled and cultivating a workforce that meets the industry demands, fosters innovation, and expands opportunities. So how can we know that if we meet the demands if we don't really understand the demands? So that's one of the things that we do within our community of practice. Also compiling resources. Nick talked about the different resources that are available within NOCO. There's a lot of resources out there. So we try to shed some light on the different resources and best practices that are happening across the industry. Next slide. One of the ways that we do that is by having a member spotlight at each meeting. So we had 8 meetings, or maybe, I think we had 8 or 9 meetings last year. And these are some of the speakers that we had at each meeting. And you'll recognize a couple of them that are here today as well. But we had state agencies, we had New Hampshire DOT on there, smaller, we had Aurora on there. Different government agencies like Southern California Agency of Governments, SCAG, as well as different industries. We also had the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics to talk about what they're doing in workforce. So maybe there's things that we can learn from other sectors and bring into the ITS sector. So that's one of the ways that we're sharing information. Another way is to ask people what they think and what's going on. Maybe they can't attend our monthly meeting, but we sent out a member survey to all of the ITS America membership and just asking them what their concerns are, what they see as needs to be. And I just kind of highlighted 2 things that came out that a little unexpected, but not really, but I think it's important to acknowledge all of the feedback that comes in through the surveys. So one comment was that they'd like to see more effort to bring vendors in along the journey. So there's, we want to make sure that they feel included too, and that those needs are met because they're really important as part of the whole ecosystem of, deploying ITS and making sure that we can meet the needs of the future. Another one I think is important. So we'd often talk about like bringing people into our industry, which is very important. But what about retention? How do we keep people in the industry, prevent them or encourage them to stay, to use those resources that that they've learned in transportation and especially in ITS. So one person responded that their greatest struggle is with retention of employees, and they're really interested in learning about what others can do or what others have been doing to succeed in that area. Next. We also started to record some videos. So we wanted to get, real life journey, career journey stories on video, and we're going to compile those for an upcoming event later this summer. So we started to ask some questions and do some interviews to collect these videos. And we've even asked some people to do their own spotlight videos, just kind of answering some questions. So we started to gather that content. We do plan to piece it all together. But, everyone has their story, and it's great to give people airtime to talk about their story, to understand that there are many different pathways to get into a career in transportation. Next slide. ITS America has some really interesting releases that have come out in the past year or so, or year or less, really. The first one that Dara and I were involved with developing is this Workforce Gaps in the Future of Intelligent Transportation Systems. So that's available. I can put it in the chat after I'm done with the presentation. Also, the Blueprint for Transportation Technology, which came out last month, that has a lot of information about workforce too. That blueprint includes topical areas of digital infrastructure, automated vehicles, artificial intelligence, emerging technologies, V2X and connected infrastructure, as well as workforce and job creation. So those are all of the elements that are part of that blueprint. And so if you're interested in that, I do recommend downloading it, checking it out. It's a pretty easy read, but I think it's very helpful to all get on the same page about what we need to do for transportation technology. And then also last month, ITS America released their Surface Transportation Reauthorization Policy Principles. And in that document, ITS America really emphasizes that policymakers need to include the concept of digital infrastructure more explicitly within DOT workforce development and education programs. So trying to get it funded so that it comes through in things like the National Highway Institute, university transportation centers, and any work through community colleges, apprenticeships, things like that. So if you're interested more on the policy side of workforce development and how to fund the future of transportation workforce development, definitely check out those policy principles. So the Workforce Gaps and Future of ITS document, I just want to give you a little teaser of what's in there. We talk about existing skill sets that our workforce has, which we need to continue to build from. And those are the little icons that are on the right side here. Then we get into additional skills, gaps identification. Then we clearly define new jobs and new opportunities that are coming with a new, with the new future of ITS and where we see the industry going. And then there call out a couple examples of best practices. So that's all in that Workforce Gaps and Future of ITS document that we pulled together last year. I also want to give a shout out to the use case library. It's currently accepting submissions for the next volume. And if you get some questions, when you're talking to students or you're talking to people who are new to the industry, they're like, what is ITS? What is ITS technology? What is it really all about? And maybe how do some of these new technologies fit into the structure of ITS? Like, these use cases are a great way to explain to people of what it's really all about, and maybe define your niche, find something that's interesting to you, find something that you're passionate about, and then maybe pursue that. So if you have use cases that you'd like to add, please contact Jim to get to share that information. There's a nice template. It's pretty easy to follow to be able to add anything new to the use case library. But this is volume 3, so there's previous volumes available if you want to take a look at that and use it as a reference doc too. Next slide. Oh, also, I just want to give a quick plug for the ITS World Congress. It's going to be in the US this year. It's in Atlanta, August 24th through 28th. So it's a great opportunity to come together with other partners across the globe. There will be a workforce development session, and it is there is a focus on workforce development throughout the World Congress. So I just want to give a quick plug for that. I think that's it. Last slide, we just have our contact information. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Tiffany, or Dara. Thank you.
Thanks, Emmy. And it's great to be here with you all today. As Emmy said, I'm here today representing ITE, which I'm very honored to do. In the spirit of Virginia talking about her journey, I'll do the same. And I spent 25 years working at a large consulting firm, and then about 2 years ago transitioned into starting my own company. And workforce has always been important to me, but it's certainly given me a new perspective on it as I try to strategize about growing my own team. So I'm excited about that. Also want to call out a couple names I see out in the crowd today. Past ITE past president Beverly Kuhn is here today with us, and Beverly's been a huge influence on my professional career, and I'm grateful for her leadership as ITE president. And she continues to be involved, and I definitely recommend you reaching out to Beverly if you haven't done so already. I also see my colleague April Blackburn out there. I was recently named to AED 30, which is the um, Information Systems Standing Committee within TRB. And April is another person who's been a great leader in our industry for a long time. And particularly now, as we talk about TSMO and technology, she's definitely a great resource. So I would recommend you being a friend of her committee. And so with that, I'll talk a little bit about a new initiative that ITE has been involved with, and that is this Engineering Workforce Consortium. If we could go to the next slide, Adam. So we're all familiar with these statistics. That's probably why we're here today. At least that's why we have somewhat of an interest in workforce development and what it means for our industry. The overarching message, I think, across these statistics is that there aren't enough of us headed into the future, and there aren't enough of us with diverse perspectives to bring to the table to provide the best solutions. And that's something that ITE has been focused on quite a bit over the past few years, and something that we continue to lead with. Next slide. So in October, ITE became a founding member of the Engineering Workforce Consortium. ITE CEO Steve Kusiemba and I, and Director of Member Services Colleen Agan, attended an event where a joint MOU was signed to really bring together a lot of resources to focus on workforce development. The Engineering Workforce Consortium was formed around really three different aspects of importance to us here as the mission statement: attracting, retaining, and then advocating for our industry is really the focus of the Engineering Workforce Consortium. Next slide. As I mentioned, we were one of the founding members of the consortium. The effort was led by ACEC, APWA, and ASCE as an outcrop of their engineering work roadshow that they've been putting on for a number of years, and seeing developing continued trend of dwindling numbers with increased demand and pressure led them down this path to create this opportunity. And all the logos you see here were part of the founding of the consortium. Next slide. And we got together for an initial kickoff summit last April, and these were some of the core questions coming out of that summit that was felt that the Engineering Workforce Consortium could address. And again, I'm sure many of these questions on here you resonate with. They're not surprising. They're questions that we've been asking ourselves quite a bit, I think, over the past few years, especially, if not beyond, and continue to be of utmost importance that we focus on answering those. And I will say that I just came from the latest meeting with the EWC on Monday and Tuesday of this week, and we really started to dig into how we could take action to make a difference on a lot of these issues. We heard from people like Leslie Richards, former Secretary of Pennsylvania DOT and SEPTA CEO, who talked about needing to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be inclusive of everybody, and making sure that we keep that as our focus, and that we all become allies to people who need to get a seat at the table, whether it's by age, gender, ethnicity, or what have you, that we make sure that all the right people are around the table. We heard people talk about understanding the differences in generations. We heard from Stephanie Ivey, another ITE colleague of mine, who has done some wonderful things around career pathways, where maybe you start in a technician or a technical role, and you progress along your career and eventually become an engineer. So we continue to refine the messaging around that and develop an action plan. And pretty soon the proceedings for that will be published, and we'll be sure to share them out with NOCO and share them widely on that. Next slide. So I mentioned attracting talent as one of the core focus mission areas of the EWC, and I'll just point out a couple of here. Discovery, if you're not familiar with them, they're the folks that are behind Engineers Week. They designed that, they administer it every year. And then the ACE Mentor program is a program that really focuses on creating engineering opportunities for kids and also young professionals, and giving them a chance to perform and be mentored by veterans. And then one that's not shown here that is one that ITE developed a partnership with coming out of the first summit, and that's the Engineers Without Borders. They're doing wonderful work, and if you're like me, I always thought that Engineers Without Borders was something where you went international, but it turns out they have a US based program as well. So I would encourage you to seek them out for collaboration as well. Next slide. And then, under retaining talent, we talked a lot about that this week as well. And we talked about not just leadership training, but the need to modify the ABET accreditation rules so that engineering curriculum can include leadership development and some of the more I would say active needs of today's workforce. We got into a discussion about whether we need 18 credits of calculus in the engineering curriculum, or if you could be a trade-off to focus on some of these other opportunities as a way of having people be more prepared when they graduate from college, and being more ready to assume leadership roles. And then talking about opportunities for growth and change, we again discussed the need to cast a wide net to create many paths for people that want to be involved, and maybe they don't want to get to a master's or baccalaureate engineering degree, but there should be a role for people that could obtain professional growth on a different path, but related to our engineering field. Next slide. And so, of course, a big part of this is continuing to advocate for industry growth and sustainability. We all know that here in the US, there will be a new infrastructure bill will be needed next year. There's, a big debate of the tax code this year that will impact the infrastructure funding discussion next year. So now is a good time to be binding together and unifying our message so that we have the most success in what we want to advocate for. Next slide. And so, just turning then to ITE itself a little bit, professional growth really has been the hallmark of ITE since it was created almost 100 years ago now. But it's really focused at the national level now around our councils. And here you see a slide that shows our 5 main councils and some of the standing committees that kind of roll up into them. And what we've tried to create within the councils are a culture of collaboration, right? I don't want you to look at this and think that it's 5 silos of excellence. So this is really binding people together by their interest area, but then creating the necessary blueprint for successful collaboration. And in addition to these 5, there's also 4 employer-based councils where you can be involved based on the type of practicing professional you are: public sector, private sector, vendor, academia, and things like that. Next slide. And then, there's other special committees too that have really been successful at ITE. I know Dr. Hadi, who we'll hear from later, has been involved with some of them. And these continue to be some of our strongest committees in terms of participation at ITE. They normally meet at our annual meeting, and then they do activities outside of the annual meeting as well. So We are definitely focused on serving the whole professional, not just portions of that professional. Next. One of our great successes has been our students and young professionals and the work that so many of our districts and sections have put into fostering the relationships with the different universities, supporting them, and really creating that bond between professionals and our students. And our student leadership summits are one of the biggest examples of success when it comes to that, because this was initially started in Southern California, this concept was, and has spread throughout ITE over the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, perhaps. And every year it brings together conferences that are and summits that are organized by students for students. And so, as opposed to some of our meetings where, the professionals organize it and then we figure out how to fit the students in, this is students front and center. And so that's something that's really important to us. And then leadership ITE is another one. Again, with I think now more than 250 graduates from leadership ITE, it's become known across the industry as a key leadership development program for young professionals. Next slide. So if you want to know more about any of this, as I said, Beverly's on the call today. I see her out there. She can fill you in on it. You can reach out to me, but probably the most direct line to getting involved with that is to reach out to Colleen Egan, who couldn't be here today. But she's a wonderful resource, and she's very open to helping anybody who wants to get involved. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Emmy.
Thank you, Emmy, and thank you for the opportunity to participate today. Good afternoon, everyone. As Emmy mentioned, my name is Shoshana Thompson, and I'm a Senior Program Officer at the Transportation Research Board, TRB. And in my role as an SPO, I support standing committees in the Executive Management Issues section. And one of those committees is the Standing Committee on Workforce Development and Organizational Excellence. And so the research that you'll hear about shortly was submitted as a paper to the Workforce Committee. And it was not only selected for presentation, but then later awarded the Charlie V. Wootan Award for 2024. And just, I'm sure most of you probably already know, but we receive over 6,000 papers each year as we prepare for our annual meeting at TRB. And those papers are peer reviewed, and then only a select few are chosen to be awarded one of our paper awards. So I want to share a little bit about the Wootan Award, and then I'll turn it over to our presenters. So the Wootan Award is awarded each year for the most exceptional paper in the area of policy and organization. And this award honors Charlie Wootan, who was a former director of the the Texas Transportation Institute, the Texas A&M University System. And he was the director from 1976 to 1993. He was also very active in TRB for many years, and he served as the chairman of the TRB Executive Committee in 1983, and also served as a group and council chair for our Technical Activities Division. And so this award recognizes research that's not only academically rigorous, but also relevant, forward-looking, and impactful for the transportation community. The award was established in 2004, and over the years, winning papers have covered a wide spectrum of topics, from strategic management at state DOTs to real-time visualization tools, to even civic engagement through transportation organizations. So we have, as Emmy mentioned, we have two of our paper authors here for the 2024 award. So again, congratulations to them. And so I will now turn it over to Dr. Ruth Steiner and Dr. Mohammed Hadi so that they'll share their insights from the paper. So again, congratulations, and thank you for the work that you guys do. And we're looking forward to hearing about your projects.
Thank you, Shoshana. So this, we need to acknowledge a number of authors. This was a project through the Southeast Transportation Research, Innovation, Development, and Education Center, or STRIDE, as we know it in this part of the world. And it was one of the FAST Act the Fixing 2016 University Transportation Centers that was headquartered at the University of Florida. The authors include myself and Mohammed, both at Florida universities. Stephen Click is at Tennessee Tech. Mary Mohebi and Jeremy Griffin are also at the University of Florida, Virginia. Sissio Picu and Mohammed Sharif are at University of Alabama, Birmingham. Dimitra Michalaka is at the Citadel, and James Martin is now retired director of the LTEP Center at the North Carolina State University. Next slide, please. This is showing the universities in the Stride Center, and this was one of the projects selected to be completed and really was a part of workforce development and trying to understand, are there specific special needs, both unique to the Southeast, but also in general, and thinking about how do we as a university research center researchers, how do we take our work and leverage it for tech transfer. Next slide, please. So the study itself was quite broad, and we looked at 5 aspects of it. First was understanding current workforce development practices, identifying the key challenges, defining workforce development within this context, exploring the potential roles of university transportation centers, and actionable recommendations for enhancing transportation workforce development. We're not going to spend a lot of time on those highlighted in yellow, but we'll look at key challenges, the potential roles for universities, and actionable recommendations for enhancing transportation workforce development. It's also important to mention that this is not just looking at transportation system management, but it's looking broadly, although it is some of the same issues in TSMO. Areas of transportation are important in other areas of transportation as we will go forward. Next slide, please. So the kinds of key challenges we identified is that we have the baby boomers are retiring at a very rapid rate, and the discipline is changing a lot with increased automation. And where we have growing demand, we also have greater competition from other sectors. We also have greater needs for students coming through the university with different kinds of skills. So whereas a generation ago, some aspects of computerization they're much more important as we go forward. We also have a need to transfer to the next generation what the boomers and we have to transfer that knowledge into the next generation, and we really need to attract the next generation. And some of them aren't going to be find my grandmother's transportation system that appealing to them. Next slide, please. And other issues we identified is the lack of gender and racial diversity, and not just that, and recognizing that the next generation is very different in terms of its diversity than our generation. And additionally, because of the changing nature of the transportation, there is a need for other kinds of interdisciplinary skills. The body of knowledge continues to grow. I would argue, for instance, 10 years ago, we were talking about use of apps-based traffic, calling up a car or getting an mobility as a service. All of those kinds of skills are very different than even 20 years ago. And the other is a recognition that there are needs for soft skills, including management, communications, and other aspects. The next presenter, I'm going to turn it over to Mohammed right now.
Thank you, Ruth. Just a brief introduction of myself. I know that Ruth did not introduce herself. Ruth, you want to introduce yourself? Or
yes, I'm a professor of urban planning at the University of Florida.
Okay. So I am a professor at FIU. I have 35-year experience in TSMO, 10 years in consultant and 25 years in academia. I have been teaching an ITS class for the past 23 years, which try as much as possible to include the elements that of technical skills that we are talking about. And also I've been involved in several efforts since I was involved with ITS America in 2000 or 2001 on workforce development. And through the years, I was involved with the USDOT JPO program, and then the NOCO effort several years ago. I was involved in that too. So what I'm talking about is a few slides that talk about what are the potential roles of universities and UTCs. Although it is in the paper, it's the UTC, but it's UTCs, but we thought that it is also universities also will have to play some roles in that. Main thing is, one of the important thing is to communicate realistic expectation of the transportation careers. That's, I think, is very critical, because a lot of students, even in civil engineering, after the students finish the 4 years in college, they really don't know what transportation engineering field is. And we need to communicate to them to attract them from, for example, going into other civil engineering fields, like structure or soil mechanics. That's the reason why they go there in the first place. And we also, one of the important roles is to increase the opportunities for industry exposure. We found out that the students get attracted more to our field and learn more when we have people from the industry come and speak, and even they can jointly teach classes. And most of universities in the summer, they don't offer classes because the professors are engaged in research in the summer. So in a few years, we invited a number of people from the industry that share teaching a class. It worked very well. Mentorship and internship also. And then coordinate regional K-12 recruitment and exposure. That is critical, especially with the technologies, with the emerging technologies. I think students will get attracted the new generation is get attracted to robotics and automation and so on, and AI, obviously. We also are getting competition from the other industries, and I know that even graduate students in transportation, other industries get into them and pull them from. So banks and IT companies, they get into competing with us even after students get their degree in transportation, graduate degrees. And we need to develop framework for recruitment outside the traditional engineering planning path. So the college career fairs, maybe talking with other student organization and other department or colleges, even having multidisciplinary programs where we collaborate on having the students in different disciplines talking to each other and talking to the professor to identify a career. And then collaborate and share resources and help develop curricula. I think this is also very important, and we have been discussing this on the national level for a while in TISMO, and we have been discussing this. And then improve the universal understanding of challenges, solution, and available resources. So we need to create awareness of all the challenges that we are facing, the one that Ruth has that Ruth talked about, and we work together on mitigating these challenges. And then we also need to develop open platform forum for stakeholders where we catalog existing opportunities and also for building the workforce, and allow the stakeholders through that platform to communicate and share information. Actionable suggestions is we identify 4 actionable suggestions toward the end of the paper. The first is to catalog existing workforce development resources such that the agencies and even universities and other private sector and public sector, they can go and look at these resources to build their workforce. Develop technical skills training, and then provide resources to improve online training. We identify online training to be a very important sources considering the budget and time out of the office. Online training we identify as a potential strong candidate. And then we also have a recommendation to develop best practices in interdisciplinary education. This is also very challenging because each department has their own curricula, and it is very difficult to squeeze in things from other departments. Let's say if civil engineering want to introduce computer science classes in the undergrad, it is almost impossible, but there may be a way to address that, and we need to start talking about this. So that's I think is the last slide.